I was just running an errand for my dad at the Central Square shopping center. It was a regular day, nothing unusual. But then, inside a fast food joint, I drifted off into a dream, or more like a nightmare. I found myself in Silent Hill, that terrifying place. But this time it was even worse. I was in some kind of freaky amusement park, surrounded by thick fog and all sorts of horrors. Monsters were everywhere, and I had to fight my way past them. It was like a never-ending battle for survival, my heart racing with every step.
Where am I?
Then I stumbled upon a roller coaster. I don't know why, but I started walking along its tracks. The roller coaster came crashing down on me, and everything went black. It was like a punch to the gut, and I thought it might be the end of it all. I couldn't shake off that weird dream about Silent Hill. But it was over now, or so I thought.
What a nightmare.
Waking up in the mall, I quickly dialed my dad's number to let him know I was on my way home. I just wanted to put this day behind me.
Dad, it's me. Yeah. Sorry I didn't call sooner. Yeah, I guess I was. Anyway, I'm coming home now. Oh, I didn't get that thing you asked me to. Okay. Okay, I will. I love you too, Dad.
Just as I was about to leave, this guy named Douglas Cartland approached me. He claimed he was hired by some cult called the Order to find me. Creepy, right?
Heather, I need to speak with you. My name is Douglas Cartland. I'm a detective.
Detective? Really? Well, nice talking to you.
Hold on. There's someone that wants to meet you. Just let me have an hour. No, half an hour of your time.
My daddy always told me not to talk to strangers.
This is very important. It's about your birth.
I'm not interested.
I thought he might be some kind of stalker, so I dashed into the nearest restroom to hide. Desperation took over when I realized he wasn't going away.
Still following me?
I climbed out of a window,
Scream?
only to find myself trapped between a rock and a hard place, with no way out. Panic set in, and I knew I had to find another way through this mall. Inside the mall, things got even stranger. Freaky monsters were lurking all around, like they were pulled straight from a nightmare. I needed something to defend myself, and fast. Then, in a clothing store, I stumbled upon a handgun. It was surreal, but in a place like this, I wasn't about to question my luck. I grabbed it, my heart pounding, knowing that I might need it to survive whatever twisted nightmare had taken hold of the mall.
Stay back! Get the hell away from me! What the hell is this thing?
I was still trying to make sense of everything, trying to escape that twisted mall when I saw her.
Wait,
A woman,
where is it?
barefoot, dressed all in black with flowing blonde hair. Her name, Claudia Wolf, the High Priestess of the Order. And she'd been hunting for me, or rather, Alessa Gillespie, for a long time. Claudia said some cryptic stuff about my talents being needed and told me to remember me and your true self as well. It gave me the creeps, but I had no idea what she was talking about. She kept going, saying something about leading us to paradise with blood-stained hands. As she walked away, my head started throbbing like crazy, a migraine like I'd never had before. Claudia's words lingered in my mind, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something even darker was ahead. But I had to push through the pain and confusion and keep moving.
It was the hand of God.
I don't get it. What does she want me to remember?
I stepped into that elevator, not knowing what was waiting for me next. Suddenly, a radio fell from the ceiling, and it crackled with static whenever monsters were nearby. It was like a warning, a constant reminder of the danger I was in. When the elevator doors opened again, I couldn't believe my eyes. It was another elevator, but this one looked even more sinister, like a portal to another reality. I had no choice but to step inside. As the second elevator descended, I could feel the world around me changing. I was in the other world now, a nightmarish version of the mall. Fear gripped me, but I had to keep moving forward. Monstrous creatures lurked in the shadows, but I managed to fight my way through. The climax was a battle with an enormous worm deep in the mall's bowels. It was terrifying, but I had to defeat it to escape this nightmare. Finally, everything seemed to return to normal, or at least what passed for normal in Silent Hill. I headed for the subway, hoping to find my way back home.
Well, just like before. Am I back?
But then, Douglas appeared, stopping me in my tracks. At first I thought he might be on Claudia's side, but he assured me he was only hired to find me. I left him there, bewildered and alone, and entered the subway. My journey was far from over, and I couldn't trust anyone in this twisted town.
You're in on this with that Claudia, aren't you?
Claudia? What about her? She asked me to find you, that's all.
So you are one of them.
Claudia did all that? Look, I was just hired to find you. I'm not on anybody's side. I don't know anything about this. Why don't you start by telling me what happened here? And that monster, what the hell was that?
I don't know any more than you do. All I know is that things are getting really screwy around here, and I got a weird feeling it's got something to do with me. Maybe you're just an innocent bystander, but I can't feel sorry for you because you dragged me into this. You know, if you hadn't found me...
What are you talking about? What's so special about you anyway?
If I knew that, I wouldn't be so confused, would I? But I know there's something. Something I've been running from and forgot for a long time. How did I remember that?
What's wrong?
Nothing.
Where are you going?
I'm taking the subway home.
What should I do?
Hell if I know.
The subway was just as eerie as the mall, deserted except for those monstrous things lurking around. I had to be on high alert. One close call even had me narrowly avoiding being run over by a speeding subway car. It was like a never-ending nightmare. I took that subway to the underpass, hoping to find a way out of this twisted place. The sewer-like corridors were a nightmare in themselves, but I had to keep going. I had to find a way home. Eventually, I reached a construction site. It was my ticket out of there. I used the site to access another building, the Hilltop Center, which was connected through an open window. It felt like a small victory in this never-ending ordeal. But as soon as I stepped inside Hilltop Center, it happened again. The nightmare realm engulfed me once more. It was like Silent Hill was playing with my sanity, refusing to let me go. The horrors seemed to have no end, and all I could do was keep moving forward, hoping to find a way out of this nightmare. I bumped into a guy named Vincent Smith inside Hilltop Center. He claimed to be a priest of the order, but he had different ideas about where the cult should be heading. Something about him just didn't sit right with me, so I left him behind and went on my way.
And who are you?
I couldn't afford to trust anyone in this messed up place.
Don't forget it, okay? I'm on your side.
So you say. But how do I know you're not with her?
Her? You mean Claudia? Please don't lump me together with her. She was totally brainwashed by that crazy old hag. Well, I guess crazy old hag is a bit harsh. She is your mother, after all.
My mother? What do you mean?
You don't remember? Ah, so Harry didn't tell you anything. I guess he hid the truth to keep you on his side, eh? That figures. He's a pretty sneaky guy.
Don't talk about my dad like that!
Sorry. I apologize. Please, calm down.
How do you know my father anyway?
I know everything. I know about your past, too.
Then tell me what's going on.
You don't know even that?
That's why I'm asking. If you know everything, then tell me how I could put an end to this.
Not yet. Why not enjoy yourself a bit longer?
Enjoy? I feel like I'm going crazy. Does this place get to you at all?
Oh, it gets to me, all right. I find it most fascinating. Wait! I'm not finished talking!
I knew you were on her side.
How do you figure?
There's something wrong with you, too.
Finally, I reached the exit, but it was blocked by a monstrosity called the Glutton. I was trapped, and the situation seemed impossible. That's when I found scattered pages of a fairy tale, and they contained the words,
Weird writing.
Tu fui ego eris.
What was that?
When I pieced those words together, the monster vanished, like it had never been there. I got back to our place, the Daisy Villa apartments,
Mom,
with a feeling of relief,
listen.
hoping to find some semblance of normality.
I think we should.
But as I entered, the world shattered around me. There, in the chair, sat my father, Harry Mason. But he wasn't alive. He'd been brutally murdered, and I couldn't believe my eyes. I collapsed, sobbing uncontrollably, resting on my father's lifeless lap. It was like my whole world had crumbled in an instant. My voice was stolen by shock and grief. Eventually, I managed to pull myself together. I followed the trail of blood, a grim path that led me to the rooftop. And there, waiting for me, was Claudia. She was the one responsible for my father's murder. Claudia told me that my dad had thwarted the cult's plans 17 years ago, and killing him would fill my heart with hatred. She claimed she didn't kill him herself, but she gave the order to her companion, that beastly missionary. With those unsettling words, Claudia told me she'd be waiting for me in Silent Hill. And then, she left our apartment, leaving me alone with the weight of my father's murder and the dark path ahead.
Get you for this!
There is another reason. To fill your heart with hatred. It must be this way. One day you'll understand why.
No, I'll never understand!
You must try to remember me, and your true self as well. You will birth a god, and build an eternal paradise. he's the one who killed your father. I merely gave the order. So, what will you do? I'll be waiting where all begins. In the town of Silent Hill.
After I dealt with that monster, I found Douglas inside our apartment. He helped me move my father's lifeless body into his room, covering him with a sheet adorned with lilies. It was a small gesture, but it felt like a proper farewell for the man who had always been there for me. I paid my final respects to my dad, my heart heavy with grief and anger. I knew what I had to do. Claudia had taken him away from me, and I couldn't let her get away with it. Revenge was the only thing on my mind, despite Douglas telling me it wasn't the answer. Reluctantly, I agreed to let Douglas drive me to Silent Hill. It was the only way to find Claudia and make her pay for what she'd done.
If it'll make you feel better, I will. Is he okay like this?
What else can I do? There's no one here to give him a decent burial. I'm sorry, Dad.
What do you do now?
I'm going to Silent Hill.
What's in Silent Hill?
I don't know.
Do you think it's safe?
Of course it isn't. I don't know what kind of hell is waiting for me there, but I've got no other choice. I don't care about God or paradise. If that's what she believes, then fine. But she won't get away with what she did. When I find her, I'll kill her myself.
Revenge doesn't solve anything.
Maybe not, but that's what I'm going to do.
How are you gonna get there?
None of your business.
I'll give you a ride.
I don't need your help.
Yeah, but it's too far to walk. Besides, I'm partly responsible for this. I'll bring the car around back. Come by and finish saying goodbye.
You know, you might die too.
That's fine. Nobody's gonna cry over my grave.
As we stepped outside the apartment, Douglas handed me a map of our destination, a gift from Vincent. He also gave me a notebook from my father. It was like his final words to me, an explanation of my past, and a heartfelt goodbye. With the weight of my father's death and the uncertainty of what lay ahead, I set out on my journey to Silent Hill, determined to confront Claudia and seek the truth about my own existence.
We've got no other choice.
Here, take this too.
What's this?
Your father was holding it. Started raining. Are you sleeping?
I'm awake.
You cold? What's the deal with Silent Hill anyway? It used to be a nice, quiet little town. But now...
You've been there?
Once, on a missing persons case. Never did find him. But I'll tell you, that's one screwed up town. My line of work, you hear a lot of nasty rumors.
I was born and raised there.
Sorry, I didn't mean to offend you.
No offense taken.
Anyway, I thought you grew up in Portland. What's wrong? You feeling sick?
My head's pounding like the worst hangover ever.
Maybe you're car sick.
No, I'm just trying to remember. My childhood. Something terrible happened in Silent Hill 17 years ago. A woman named Dahlia. She tried to summon the ancient god of the town. She offered up her very own daughter.
That's crazy.
Maybe so, but it worked. The girl gave birth to a god. You see, that girl had special powers.
Powers?
Her classmates called her a witch. She could make things happen with her mind. She could kill people just by wishing for it. But in the end, that god was killed by a single person. My father, Harry Mason. I guess it wasn't much of a god if it could be killed by a human being. But I think Claudia's trying to do the same thing again. And I've been chosen as the sacrifice.
You've got some kind of power in you too?
After the god was killed, the girl reappeared. She was holding a baby in her arms. Before she died, she gave the baby to my father. He loved me just like I was his very own daughter. Even though he didn't know who or what I was. It was so sudden. I never had a chance to tell you how happy you made me.
Arriving in Silent Hill with Douglas, the town was like a ghost town, lost in thick fog. We found refuge at Jack's Inn and decided to split up. I had to find Claudia, so I headed for Brookhaven Hospital, while Douglas went to search Leonard Wolf's house.
Are you sure it's not you who's afraid to be alone?
You're right. I am afraid. I'm 50-something years old. I've never seen nothing like this. I still feel like I'm dreaming.
More like a nightmare, I'd say.
Yeah. I want to wake up and have a smoke already. Meet me back here when you're finished looking around the hospital. Okay?
Roger.
The hospital was a nightmare in itself. Twisted nurses roamed the halls, some of them armed with revolvers. It was like a scene from a horror movie, and I had to fight my way through. But what shook me to my core was discovering a patient named Stanley Coleman. He had an unhealthy obsession with me, and it sent chills down my spine. Even more unsettling, I found out that Leonard was imprisoned within the hospital. The pieces of the puzzle were slowly coming together. Then, in the midst of all this chaos, I had a revelation. It hit me like a ton of bricks. I realized a startling truth about myself that I had long forgotten. I was the reincarnation of Alessa Gillespie. Memories of Alessa's life before the fire that consumed her at the age of 7 flooded back into my mind. It was a truth that shook me to my core, and I knew I had to uncover the secrets of my past to make sense of what was happening in Silent Hill.
The salvation of all mankind. Ah, what a ridiculous dream.
Wait, just listen to me for a second.
I've heard enough from you already. How did you turn out this way? Where did I go wrong?
Listen to me already. I'm not Claudia.
You're not Claudia.
My name is Heather.
Heather.
Who are you?
Leonard Wolf. I'm sorry. I thought you were my daughter.
Claudia is your daughter?
Oh, so you know her, do you? Are you one of her followers?
No, never. When I find her,
I can feel the hatred.
What?
Behind your words. The anger. You plan to kill her, don't you?
I'm sorry, but She killed my father.
She's a fool. But she's still my daughter. I was going to forgive her if she changed her ways. But I see it's too late. Heather, will you help me?
Help you?
I'm locked up in here, and I must stop Claudia.
Where are you now?
I'm not sure myself, but the door is at the end of the hall on the second floor. I think I can be of help to you. I have a seal. Please.
A seal? The end of the hall on the second floor.
I entered the nightmare realm once more, and there, I encountered Leonard Wolf. He revealed himself to be Claudia's father, but he had degenerated into a monstrous form. It was a terrifying sight, but I had no choice but to fight back. In the end, I defeated Leonard and acquired the Seal of Metatron, a strange talisman he possessed. As his monstrous form dissolved, the hospital returned to normal, and I was left with more questions than answers.
Where are you?
Thank you. Now I can finally leave here. Now Claudia's ridiculous dream is over. Well, I guess it's time to dispose of her. The salvation of all mankind. Ha! Why must we reward even the unbelievers?
What are you talking about?
About our plans, of course. It's true that God is merciful, but first, one must be chosen. Only we, who hearken to the voice of God, will be given the keys to paradise. Don't you think so?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead and think whatever you want.
What do you mean by that?
I mean that I don't think the way you guys do. I don't want any part of that kind of paradise.
You're an unbeliever. You deceived me.
I didn't deceive you. We were both just wrong about each other. I thought you were a normal person.
So you tried to trick me so you can run off with my seal, eh? Heretic! You plan to destroy God!
I told you I wasn't trying to trick anyone. What is this seal thing anyway?
Don't play innocent. You can't fool me anymore. The seal is mine! I was appointed by God to be its guardian! The only thing you'll get from me is a gruesome death.
Is that you?
Death to all who turn their backs on God!
Is every person here a Well, I guess you're not a person anyway. Leonard's not here anymore. I guess I should head back to the motel now. I hope Douglas is okay. Huh? What's this?
Back at Jack's Inn, I met up with Douglas. Little did I know that, just before I returned, Claudia and Vincent had a conversation in their motel room. They talked about the cult and Leonard's abusive behavior toward Claudia. It was a glimpse into the twisted world of the Order and the darkness that had enveloped this town.
Never receive salvation. You'll go to hell, Vincent. You'll never feel the joy of God's everlasting paradise.
And you think God is going to save you? Ha!
What do you know anyway?
I know about the pleasures of this world. And I want to find my happiness while I'm still here. You hated your father, didn't you? I saw the way he hit you, kicked you, and made you cry. The memory of his cruelty is forever burned into my mind.
Yes, and that's why we need God.
What you call faith is nothing more than a child crying out for love. That's why you're all alone.
You don't understand. None of you do.
When I got back to Jack's Inn, Vincent was waiting for me. Claudia had already left, and I had questions, so I asked him about Douglas. Vincent had a message from him. The church is on the other side of the lake.
Someone else here just now?
It was a clue, a thread leading me to Claudia. Vincent also mentioned that Claudia was inside the church, and to reach her, I'd have to go through Lakeside Amusement Park. It was the only way forward, so I followed his advice.
Church? I wonder what he meant by that.
You don't understand? That's where Claudia is. Across the lake, on the north side. If you're going, you better go through the amusement park. It's probably the only way in now. Go northwest on Nathan Avenue. It's a bit far, and closer than heaven.
Is that it for the message?
Uh-huh.
Thanks. Douglas really said that?
What's wrong? You don't trust me?
But as I arrived at the park, things took a dark turn once more. I entered the other world again, the nightmare realm that seemed to have me in its grip. This time, I was prepared for what was coming. I followed the path to the roller coaster, and this time, with the knowledge of what lay ahead, I managed to jump off the tracks just before the cars could run me over. It was a narrow escape, but I was determined to keep moving forward, one step closer to confronting Claudia and putting an end to the nightmare that had taken hold of Silent Hill.
Being used.
Lie? What lie?
That Heather was kidnapped from you.
But it's true. She was originally one of us. That man, Harry Mason, stole her away and kept her hidden from us.
Yeah, but she says she was happy.
She was brainwashed by him, deceived, because her true self had not yet awoken. She carries God within her. But when Alessa, Mother of God, truly awakens,
Yeah? What's gonna happen?
she will usher in the eternal paradise.
What kind of place is that?
A place with no pain, no hunger, no sickness, no old age. There will be no greed or war, and all will live by God's grace alone.
No this, no that, no nothing. A paradise? For castrated sheep, maybe. Sounds pretty boring.
I pity you. You still don't understand. You're going to kill me? Is it really so easy for you?
I've done it before.
Then I truly do pity you.
I stumbled upon Douglas once more in the amusement park, but it was clear he couldn't come with me. His leg was broken, and it seemed like Claudia's powers had something to do with it. I promised to return once I had dealt with everything and moved forward.
Douglas,
You're late.
are you hurt?
I can't move my right leg. I think it's broken.
I'll call an ambulance.
What? I don't think one will come. Don't worry. I'm used to it.
You old fool! Getting yourself hurt like that?
Sorry.
Why did you have to do that for me? What'll I do if you die?
What'll we do if this god thing gets born?
Come on. How powerful could a god from a dump like this be? I'm sure it'll be no big deal.
Yeah, but anyway, something's gonna happen.
Who knows? Maybe we'd all be better off if it did.
But if this is how our God of Mercy acts, I don't want to see any more of him. That's a pretty good reason to risk my life, don't you think? Plus, I'm just an old fool, right?
You think you're Superman or something?
You know, I always wanted to be him. Besides,
Yeah.
I want to help you out.
You don't have to feel responsible. I know it's not your fault.
You remind me of my son.
You said nobody was going to cry for you.
Dead people don't cry. Stupid kid got himself shot robbing a bank.
But why?
Maybe because his pop was a penniless good-for-nothing. Who knows? Anyway, now I guess I'll never find out. Sorry. I shouldn't have said you reminded me of a guy like that.
Well, maybe if you had compared me to your daughter. Listen, I'll take care of the rest. You stay here and I'll be back when it's over.
You'll be okay by yourself.
Hey, no problem. Besides, my dad's not around anymore, so only I can do this. What are you doing?
Maybe killing you here is the only way to end this nightmare.
Yeah, you might be right.
As I explored the park, I found myself in the same area where my father, Harry, had been 17 years earlier. The carousel brought back memories, and it felt like a twisted déjà vu. But then, I encountered something truly unsettling. My doppelganger, the memory of Alessa, was there. She was bloodied, severely burned, and determined to stop the birth of the god at any cost. It was a battle against my darkest self, a fight I had to win. After defeating her, I finally reached the entrance of the cult's church. It was the culmination of this nightmarish journey, and I was ready to confront Claudia and put an end to the horrors of Silent Hill once and for all. Inside the chapel, I finally confronted Claudia. I told her that Alessa was content with the world as it was, but it was unclear if it was really Alessa or just me pretending to be her, a way to manipulate Claudia's beliefs. Claudia had an unshakable determination, convinced that the world was full of too much suffering and that her cult's god would change it all. I argued that suffering was a part of life, a harsh reality we all had to face, and hurting others wasn't the answer. I also couldn't hold back my anger any longer. I told Claudia that I would never forgive her for what she did to my father, Harry. But then, as we argued, I felt a sudden pain. It was a chilling sensation, as if the god they spoke of was close to being born. Claudia abruptly left, and I was left standing in the chapel, knowing that the final confrontation was drawing near, and the fate of Silent Hill hung in the balance.
But I am Alessa. My little Claudia, my dear sweet sister.
Alessa, is it you? Oh, how I've missed you.
I don't need another world. It's fine the way it is.
But you said it yourself. The world must first be cleansed with fire.
But that's not what I want now.
Alessa, don't you want happiness? Have you become blind to all the hopeless suffering in the world? We all need God's salvation!
Listen, suffering is a fact of life. Either you learn how to deal with that or you go under. You can stay in your own little dream world, but you can't keep hurting other people. Besides, I'll never forgive you for hurting my father.
I wish only for the salvation of mankind. But for that to happen, the world must first be remade. And for that, we need God.
You self-righteous witch! No one asked you to help!
It's growing within you. You despise me, don't you?
You're damn right I do!
That's good.
As I fought my way through the church's eerie corridors, I stumbled upon Vincent inside the library. He was curious about the seal of Metatron, the talisman I had in my possession. Vincent seemed relieved, believing it could be a weapon to defeat Claudia. But then, in a shocking turn of events, Claudia appeared and wounded Vincent by stabbing him from behind. It caught me off guard, seeing such a brutal act. Claudia, after calming down, thanked me for making God feel hate, believing it brought us closer to paradise. I couldn't help but disagree. I told her that a God who believed in hate could never create a perfect world. Claudia argued back, saying that even in a joyful world, cruelty existed. To understand sympathy, one had to know pain and suffering. Vincent, still clinging to life, desperately revealed that I had the seal of Metatron. Claudia then revealed that the talisman was nothing but a useless trinket before coldly stabbing Vincent in the heart, ending his life. It was a chilling moment that left me alone with Claudia, the final confrontation drawing near.
I don't want God to be born. Wouldn't be convenient. Much too unpredictable.
So you've been using me to stop Claudia, is that it? Do your own dirty work.
My dirty work? I think we both had our own interests in mind. You hate her too, don't you? You're the only one who can get it done. I don't have powers like you two. Besides, I always hated getting all hot, sweaty.
Oh, really?
I'm just looking out for myself. Everyone does it. Don't stand there looking so smug. You're the worst person in this room. You come here and enjoy spilling their blood. and listening to them cry out. You feel excited when you step on them and snuff out their lives.
Are you talking about the monsters?
Monsters? They look like monsters to you?
Oh no.
Don't worry. It's just a joke. By the way, I forgot to ask you. Did you get the seal of Metatron?
What's that?
You don't have it? Leonard was carrying it!
You mean this thing?
Yes, that's it. As long as we have that, we're fine. Here, take this. What do I want? Well, for the two of you to die, that would be nice. Then I could relax.
When did you stop believing in God? God lives. Just look around you.
But I do believe in her. In my own way. I fear her, and I adore her. But I haven't lost my mind like you. You think that this is the work of God? Isn't this all nothing more than your own personal nightmare? Just like less than 17 years ago? If this really is the work of God, then I'd say she has lousy taste.
You mock God? Traitor. You will go to hell.
Not that again! Who do you think you are, claiming to know God's will?
Go home, Vincent.
Home. This church is my home. I built it with my power. The power of money that you view with such scorn. Although I admit that this atrocious scenery is all yours.
If you continue to get in my way,
Then you'll kill me? Well, the guest of honor has arrived. Let's get this party started. Heather, go ahead and kill this crazy bitch. This demon who claims to speak for God. The time has come. You can kill her now.
you'll go to hell!
I was on the edge of losing control, anger surging through me. I couldn't hold back anymore, and I called Claudia a bitch, but then something inside me clicked, and I regained my composure. With a determined resolve, I swallowed the Aglaophotis capsule hidden within my pendant. It was known for exorcising demons, and I hoped it would work. I vomited out a bloody, grotesque fetus onto the floor, taunting Claudia with, "Looks like God didn't make it." I raised my boot, intending to crush the abomination, but Claudia pushed me aside and picked up the creature. Without hesitation, Claudia ingested God herself. It was a bizarre and horrifying sight. As she did, she suddenly fell through a hole, disappearing into the depths below. I didn't hesitate. I jumped in after her, ready to confront whatever awaited me on the other side of that hole. The final chapter of this nightmare was calling, and I was determined to see it through to the end.
No, that only God can save us.
Save you too? Happy ending? I'd rather go to hell.
No, I don't expect to be saved. And that's fine. Unless, my dearest, for the pain that I've caused you, I deserve no mercy. Even if it was to save mankind. It was too deep a sin.
feel so guilty about it. Why don't you go to hell? Heather, use the seal.
Vincent? The seal of Metatron?
Now your stupid dream is over.
Oh, that's just a piece of junk. What do you think you can do with that? Do you really think it can kill God? I'm sorry to see you fell for my father's foolishness.
What?
You're pathetic. But God loves even you. Now, Alessa, there's nowhere else to run. Just accept it, Alessa. The pain will disappear. Waiting so long for this. Even as a child, I knew I would see the coming of this day. I knew I would be a witness to it. Judgment Day. Alessa?
Shut your stinking mouth, bitch!
What are you doing?
Dad.
She is nearly here. Alessa, what have you done? What did you swallow? What is this?
Looks like God didn't make it.
Stop! God is...
Claudia!
Alessa, you cannot kill God. I will burn God. If you can't do it, Alessa, I will.
Inside the chamber, Claudia lay lifeless, having given birth to the god. It was a grotesque sight, and I knew the end was near. The beastly deity, a nightmarish creation with a skeletal body and a reptilian female face that eerily resembled Alessa's, stood before me, shrouded by Valtiel. Due to Claudia's actions, God had been reborn, but I couldn't let it continue. With all the strength I could muster, I fought and defeated the god, finally avenging my father's death. As I stood there, victorious but emotionally drained, I couldn't help but collapse to the floor, mourning over Harry's loss. It was a moment of deep grief and sorrow. Eventually, I regained my composure and stood up. I began to leave the chamber, ready to put this nightmare behind me. But before I left, I turned around and stared back at the direction where the god once stood. What happened next, in that fleeting moment, remained a mystery as the story drew to a close.
This is God. Is that the end? I guess it's time to roll the credits.
Returning to the amusement park, the nightmare seemed to have lifted, and I was no longer in the other world. But something inside me had changed, and I couldn't explain it. Approaching Douglas, I was holding a knife and acting strangely, almost as if I was about to harm him. But then, abruptly, I stopped and said it was just a joke. Douglas, understandably, commented on my twisted sense of humor. I insisted that he call me Cheryl, the name my father had originally given me. It was a way to reconnect with my past. Douglas then asked if I was considering going back to my original black hair color. I simply replied, "Blondes have more fun." It was a way of holding on to a part of myself that had changed during this ordeal.
I'm sorry.
Heather, did
You
you...
don't have to call me that. I'm not hiding anymore.
Want me to use your real name? What was it again?
Cheryl. The name my father gave me.
You gonna let your hair color go back too?
I don't know. Don't you think blondes have more fun?
Me, visiting my father, Harry's grave. It was a somber moment, but it felt like a new beginning, a chance to move forward and leave the horrors of Silent Hill behind.